Attention DeVry students living in housing at the towers at Winco provided by Collegiate Housing Services. Lately, there have been several issues regarding utility usage, resulting in almost all students being billed excessive amounts for going over their allotted usage. In this video, I will explain the situation in hopes that our problems will be resolved, as well as informing others so that they do not run into this problem in the future. First, the rent we pay each month was said to include all of our utilities. However, there's actually a cap of $250, meaning we don't pay the water or electric companies directly, but rather CHS pays the bills with part of our money from our rent. However, if we accumulate more than $250 of these utility bills, the excess gets charged to our room and split between the number of people living in the apartment. For example, if the sum of our utility bills were $270 for 1 month, and our cap is $250, there's a difference of $20 that we went over. If there are 4 people living in the apartment, then that means each person gets billed $5. Seems fair enough, right? Well, there's something wrong about all this. I moved into my apartment in July. Between July and August, one of the hottest months of the year, we had all of our air conditioners running and didn't really pay much attention to how much electricity or how much water or anything we were using. And we were never told or charged for going over anything, so we just didn't really think much about it. Then one day, I logged on to my CHS account online and found that there was a utility overage billed to me for $84.72. Now this charge was from the second month, not the first. We were never charged for our first month. I immediately contacted the CHS representative at DeVry University, and they said they had never seen anything like this before. They claimed we just left things on and just used too much utilities and just weren't conservative enough. However, I didn't find that too plausible, as in our room, we just don't use that much electricity. We keep our lights off, we don't, leave TVs on. The air conditioners, we keep at a reasonable level. One of our air conditioners doesn't even work and hasn't been fixed since July, and it's now November. So how can we go from 1 month to the next using our utilities the same way as we did in the past, but now all of a sudden we are getting billed $84 per person because of this overage? That seems kind of steep to me. So I asked for clarification of where these figures came from and how things added up, but was told that there was really no answer to this. We just went over and there was nothing we can do. But I wanted to see the breakdown. I wanted to see what happened. I didn't find this acceptable, so I complained and was told to call the corporate Collegiate Housing Services office. So I did and explained the situation to them and was pretty much told the same thing. I asked where this $84 came from, and they had informed me that our utility bill had totaled $504.17. And remember, our cap is $250. So the excess was $254.17. And they split that amount by 3 people. That's where the $84 came from. However, there's 4 people that live in our apartment, and they refused to correct this. So our 4th roommate didn't get billed anything, but the 3 of us ended up having to pay more. So I asked where he was getting this information. Was it on the computer? And he said no, it's a printed document. It's like a summary of all of our usage. And I said, can you please scan that and send it to me? I'd like to see the breakdown of, where these charges were coming from. And sure enough, he did scan and email it to me, and I now have that as a PDF on the computer. This document wasn't the actual bill that was, paid to the utility companies. However, it did break down the cost. And it said that of the $504.17 worth of utilities, $16.86 of it was from a gas water heater, which is acceptable. While the remaining charge, $487.31, was from electricity. That's a lot of electricity. I asked both my mother and father, which own their own homes, a regular full-size home, and even in the peak months of the summer when they have central air that, runs, more than the air conditioners we have here, their electricity bill was only like $120 a month. Nowhere near almost $500 that we were billed here in this small 2-bedroom apartment. Something just didn't seem right. The most helpful thing of this document was it said how many kilowatt hours we used and how much we are billed per kilowatt hour. A kilowatt is defined as a measurement of electricity in which 1,000 watts are used in 1 hour. For example, you could have a 60-watt light bulb turned on for 1 hour and it would use 0.06 of 1 kilowatt. Or you could have on 10 100-watt light bulbs, and that would equal 1 whole kilowatt hour. So now that you have an understanding of what a kilowatt actually is, let's look at how many of them we were actually billed for. To track how many kilowatts we've used, they read a meter at the start of the month and then again at the end of the month and subtract the two numbers. The difference is how many kilowatts we have used. According to this document, they had billed us for 5,036 kilowatts. And if you sit there and do the math, you'll soon realize that that's pretty much impossible to achieve that much usage in just 30 days. Even if you had on every light, every air conditioner, TV, stove, appliance, anything that plugged into the wall, you could turn it on and leave it on all month long, and you still would not be able to rack up over 5,000 kilowatts in just 30 days. It's just not possible. However, most people don't know what a kilowatt is, so they don't really realize this. They just know it's a measurement of electricity, and they just don't care. So for the next month, I decided to do my own little experiment. In the kitchen, there's an electric box with an LCD screen with numbers of how many kilowatts we've used. So on September 27th, I took a picture showing our usage starting at 13,168.6 kilowatts. A month and a day later, on October 28th, I took another picture and found that we were up to 14,115. When you subtract those numbers, you get a total of 946.4 kilowatts. That is how much we actually used in 1 month. And according to this statement, we are billed 0.0096 cents per kilowatt hour plus a $3.75 billing fee. When you calculate this out, that means our electric bill should have been $94.60. That's a lot less compared to the $487.31 they accused us of using. Now, I don't know how much our electric usage breakdown is for this month, but I do know that I was charged another $64.02 on my online CHS account for another overage. So if you multiply my $64.02 overage times 4 people, that means the total overage would have been $256.08. And when added to the initial $250 that we are allotted, that means we must have used $506.08, which is actually pretty close to the $504.16 that we were billed for last month. But again, if you remember the actual numbers of the kilowatts that I had calculated, our electricity bill should have only been $94.60. That's way below the $250 cap that we are allotted. So there shouldn't have been any kind of overage. And the interesting thing about all this is, every student in housing that I've spoken to here has also been charged similar overages, anywhere between just a few dollars over and as much as $84 over, like in my case last month. Before Collegiate Housing Services did the housing at the towers at Wyncote, DeVry had their own housing representative that handled all this. I talked to some seniors and some upperclassmen that have lived here for over 3 years back when DeVry did housing, and they had explained that they have never had any of these kind of overages. So something just doesn't seem right here. And until now, nobody has really challenged CHS at how much electricity we're actually using, because nobody even really knows what a kilowatt is or how many of them is actually an acceptable amount to be used. But now that I've kept track of my own utility usage in the same way that CHS does, I know for a fact that we are not using the number of kilowatts that they are billing us for. I believe that Collegiate Housing Services is incorrectly billing us students and taking advantage of us, and that's not right. So I'm not sure what to do at this point about all this, but I felt it was necessary to make this video and explain the situation so that other students know what's going on and don't get taken advantage of. I hope you found this information useful, and I'd welcome any comments or responses regarding this situation. Thank you for your time, and have a great day.